Hey, good afternoon, my hungry friends. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. It's a holiday that takes place annually on the last Monday in May, which is dedicated for honoring all U.S. military personnel who have died while serving in the United States Armed Services. And today, over 1.3 million Americans have paid the ultimate sacrifice for their nation. So, without further ado, our next segment is dedicated to those veterans with our baby back ribs. Let's make it. Before we begin, we're going to take these ribs out of the Cryovac and we're going to place it on this pan. The sheet pan will help capture all the rubs and spices so we don't make a mess. We're also going to remove what's called the membrane, otherwise known as the peritoneum, which is a piece of tissue that is attached to the underside of the pork ribs. It's got cartilage and other connective tissue that's around in between these ribs, which we don't want. Okay, we're going to also take this butter knife. We're going to place it on the underside of this membrane right above that bone, and we're going to pull upward so we can remove this membrane. The reason why we want to remove this membrane is because the rub will not stick to the meat. Okay, so check this out. Boom. Okay, so now that we got the membrane off, what we're going to do is we're going to add and apply a light coat of mustard. You can use any type of fatty liquid that you so desire. There's no rules in barbecue, but we're going to just apply a generous amount of light mustard, and then we're going to add our hot barbecue rub and rub it on there gently. Once we apply the mustard, we're going to put this barbecue rub and we're going to apply that generously as well, cutting it both the front side, back side, and all around the edges, as you can see here. Today we are also using Killer Hogs Hot BBQ Rub. It's one of my favorites and my go-to for barbecue. Now after we apply the mustard and the rub to our ribs, we're going to let this sweat out for about 15 minutes as we go ahead and start up our Memphis Elite Grill. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm calculating to 275 degrees, letting this Memphis grill come up to temperature, and then we're going to add our ribs. Now, 15 minutes have passed. Look how the moisture had drawn out after applying the rub. Now we're going to place our ribs in the Memphis grill. The Memphis grill has gone up the temp to about 280, 270 degrees. As it's dialing in, we're going to place our ribs into the smoker. We're going to place them in horizontally so they cook evenly and distribute the heat throughout those ribs. After we place these ribs on the grill, we're going to shut the lid and visit the ribs in about 45 minutes. While we let the ribs smoke out for about 45 minutes or so, we're going to go ahead and make our barbecue sauce. Here we have Killer Hogs vinegar sauce, and we also have Killer Hogs barbecue sauce. These are about equal parts, about 1 cup each. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can add more or less to each one of these. We're also going to top it off with Killer Hogs The Hot BBQ Rub, about half a teaspoon or so, and we're going to give it a nice good mixture so we can let all 3 components combine and mix well before we glaze. 45 minutes have gone by. We're going to take a look at these, and as you can see, we have beautiful red mahogany color. We're going to add a spritz of equal parts of apple cider vinegar and apple juice. Now look, as we're spraying on these, it's starting to develop that bark. Look at this. And when we're looking at this, we're trying to spread evenly all around the meat with the apple cider and apple juice. Okay, our ribs have been on the grill for about 2 hours now. We're going to give it one last spritz before we wrap these ribs. All right, now let's go ahead and pull the ribs off. But before we do, we're going to coat 2 sheets of foil with brown sugar, just a light, generous layer, because what we're going to do is we're going to give it some sweet flavor. Okay, so look how I'm doing this. And after I add the sugar onto it, we're going to add about a half stick of butter. And you want to cut these into small pads, okay? Because what that's going to do is that's going to adhere to that brown sugar. After we add and apply the butter, we're going to add a light, generous coat of vinegar sauce. You don't want a lot, just enough to give it some of that sticky flavor. Now we're going to go ahead and slap on the ribs meat side down. See how I did that? Now, after we apply meat down, we're going to take some of that vinegar sauce and we're going to apply it toward the back of the ribs, and we are going to wrap for one final cook in the smoker. And what this is going to do is we're going to make these ribs tender. Once we wrap it all nice and tight, we're going to take all of our ribs and we are going to place it right back into the smoker for an additional hour. Okay? All right, so now that these ribs have been on the grill / smoker for about 2 hours, we're going to go ahead and remove these ribs one by one, okay? Now, I want you guys to be very careful. These ribs are hot. We don't want you to burn your fingers at all, or your hands. If you take a look at my hands, I have a nitrile glove with a cotton padding underneath it, so it'll help me unfold these things out of the foil because it will be hot. Now, as I unfold the wrap, as you can see, it's going to be liquid everywhere. So you want to be careful. It's going to be piping hot. Okay? Look at this texture. Look how juicy these ribs look. Okay? So as I'm taking these things out of the wrap, you carefully want to do it because as they get really tender, they will break on you. We're going to take all of them out, put them back right on the smoker, all three of them. And once I get them out in the smoker, we're going to take our barbecue sauce that we made earlier with the mixture of the vinegar sauce, the barbecue sauce, and the barbecue rub, and we're going to gently coat each one of these ribs, and we're going to lather it on with a brush. Look how I'm doing this. Smooth, silky. Man, these things are looking sweet. Also, I'm going to add a generous coat of Hearty BBQ Rub to give it an extra bite to our bark. Now we're going to leave these on the smoker for an additional 10 more minutes. Okay guys, now we've had this on for about 10 more minutes. We're going to go ahead and pull these ribs off the smoker. Man, these things look fantastic. We're going to put this on the cutting board, and as you can see, it's got that awesome bark all over the ribs. It's got that slathered vinegar barbecue sauce, and it's got a lot of that rub on there. Look how tender that is. I'm cutting it up, and as you can see, all around, you got that amazing bark. You're pulling it. It's hot. It's steamy. Man, these are good. Look at these. It peels right off. Gosh. Okay, yeah, this is it right here. This is it. I want to thank all active duty military and veterans for your service. We should stress in our messages that freedom does not come free or easy. The freedoms and liberties we enjoy came by way of a heavy sacrifice. And that is why we will need to express our gratitude to those who have served and passed. Happy Memorial Day.